Hello, this is Anthony Effinger. I'm back again today with our Distant Voices series, and today I'm talking to comedian Dan Weber. Thanks for joining us.
Sure. Hey, thank you for having me.
So you were one of the funniest people in Portland, according to Willamette Week. In what year?
2019, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think I saw that show.
or
Um,
2018. It was the first one they did at Rev Hall. It might
okay,
have been 2018, but yeah,
yes, I definitely saw that show, and it was hilarious.
it was a great show. Yeah, I was really happy to be a part of it.
So here we are in a different world. Tell me about who are you quarantined with?
No one, just me. I live alone in a studio, like a studio plus apartment, so there's no one else here.
What part of
Uh,
Portland?
I live in Southeast near Reed College. Um, so I mean, I take walks every day and stuff, but I'm mostly alone. Uh, like 99% of the time, honestly, at this point. Yeah. Almost nobody here.
And how are you managing? How are you filling your days with this?
Well, I work remotely during the day. So that gives me definitely a foundation of structure. Like I have something to do most days.
What
Today,
do
for
you do?
whatever,
What's the
uh,
job?
I do software development for a living.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, and legitimately, like most of the time, like I've been practicing 80% social distancing for like the last 40 years. So it's not this is not super weird for me. It's just that 20% I'm bummed about, like being alone a lot is fine, but like 100% is too much.
Well, no, are you doing anything online with Helium?
Yes, I do an online show. It's not a stand-up show though. It's a I started a podcast after my first year of comedy called Reading the Bible with Dan. And it was just I would read the Bible line by line and make fun of it. And I and I thought it would be hard, and then it wasn't. It turns out it's super easy to do. And then a few years ago, like 5 years ago, Helium asked me to do it, a live version of the show. So I'd been doing that every Christian holiday at Helium. And I was supposed to do one this last Wednesday as a live show, and they asked me to do a live stream, like a Zoom meeting with just a bunch of other comics. And so we did a version of the show like that on this last Wednesday, and it went fantastic. So I'm going to be doing it again pretty soon,
Oh,
and that was fun.
I want to listen to that. What's the funniest book of the Bible?
Oh, well, honestly, probably Ezekiel that I've read. Because Ezekiel, if you're not familiar with it at all, uh, God just he fucks Ezekiel so hard. Like he's just like I need you to do this. He makes him eat like in order to punish Israel. He makes Ezekiel eat cakes made partially of human shit and like oats, and like just has him like strap himself to the floor and just shout shit. It's nuts. He puts Ezekiel through sheer hell, and it's it's hysterical.
Now, did you grow up Christian? Is that right?
Oh yeah, very Christian when I was a kid.
Where was that?
Tillamook, Oregon. I'm
Okay,
from Oregon, so one of the few.
one of the few.
Yeah.
So what changed?
I read the Bible,
And
uh, and that did it. I read the Bible three times through as growing up. I did it once when I was a kid. I was way too young. I did it once in junior high, and then it kind of was troubling, but I was 13, so I was like, I'll just listen to the people around me. And then I did it again my senior year of high school, and I was like, oh, this book is horse shit, and that was it, pretty much. Like I couldn't reconcile what I read with what they were telling me, and I just ditched it altogether.
does this time period feel biblical at all? So it's
Uh,
quarantine and plague. I mean, I was supposed to have frogs next, right, or something? What's the
uh,
order of operations?
well, I mean, the book of Revelation has a whole bunch of shit that happens. One of them is a plague. But like, there's supposed to be locusts with the face of lions and scorpion tails. I mean, that's coming. Uh, a horde of like 200 million horsemen are gonna supposedly kill a bunch of people at some point, but not really likely. It doesn't feel biblical because it's not like no one. It's not mass death. Like in the Bible, Yahweh didn't deal in just like a couple thousand people dying. He would just light 50,000 people on fire to make a point. So it's not spectacular enough for it to be a biblical thing.
Huh. Okay, so we had a ways to go.
Well, if the corona, like if it was Ebola, then yeah, it would be a lot more like the Bible. Like if it was something horrific, sure. But this is just one where you kind of cough yourself to death and it only 1% of the people die, and that's not like the Bible at all.
It's not Bible worthy.
No, no, it's not horrible enough. That's what I'm saying.
What about like having a mad king, you know?
Well, that's certainly something. There's a couple characters in the Bible that are a lot like Trump. Um,
Who do you have
one
in
guy,
mind?
well, there's in the book of Daniel. There's this guy Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar at one point builds a 100-foot tall statue of himself in a field, and then tells everybody in the nation of Babylon that anytime they hear music of any kind, they have to face that statue and bow and pray to him. And if they don't, he'll put them to death. And that's super Trump like.
So is any of this funny yet?
The coronavirus?
Yeah.
Uh, I actually should probably use the name COVID-19, but I mean, by and large, when I write a joke, I try to figure out what's the funniest part of the worst thing. Like, what's the best part of the worst thing? Like, there's usually a good side to everything, right?
Sure.
It's probably real hard to find, but you can usually find something. And this, I've thought of a couple of things, but it's like they're like they're vaguely good. You know what I mean? Like they're not like, for example, one thought I had was COVID-19. The social distancing is really making my decision to be a nerd in high school a lot more like a lot more pregnant. You know, like it was forward thinking at this point. Like all the popular kids have got to be tearing their hair out, damn near like almost at suicide level, sad. And me, I'm just like, yeah, it's just another day. Like I just wake up and read a fantasy book and get on with my life. Like it's fine. Like I'm good, you know? Like in some ways it makes that decision smart.